Go for launch. You're good.
So there I was. I think I was right around. Oh, blew that start. Hi, everybody. There I was. I was like 11 years old, and my parents went out of town. And so, of course, my older brother had a party at our house. And that was the first time I had a drink. And I remember liking it. It was no big deal. It wasn't like that hallelujah moment or anything like that, but it was enjoyable and I had fun with all his friends. They were all older and so of course they were cooler and all that. And I went on the next few years whenever there was a party or something like that, maybe I'd go, but I was pretty young, so I didn't really do too much. Then high school came. And I went to a private school first couple of years. It was really small. There wasn't much social life. So after a couple of years of that, I decided to go to a public school where there'd be a social life. And there was parties all the time. Where there was a park where you'd go to find out where the keggers were and all that. And sometimes there were keggers at that park and all that. And we had lots of fun. And alcohol was becoming more and more a part of my life. Now, it wasn't destroying my life or anything like that at that point. Things were controllable. Did get in some trouble, of course, but managed to get through all that. And, life kind of went on that way for a while. I went to college. I joined a fraternity that had the best parties and lots of drinking and things like that. And drinking became very heavy in college. Got out of college and things kind of mellowed out a little bit. Drinking was still a big part of my life, but the consequences weren't really there too much. Life was good. I was a chef. I was living in the wine country, so of course wine was replacing the beer and things like that. And a good chef has to drink good wine, and they have to know their wines, of course. So that was kind of became my life for quite a while. And as life went on, the drinking became heavier and heavier. And after a while, the consequences started to happen again, and they started to get worse and worse. And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think alcohol was a problem or anything like that. And eventually, the consequences started to get really bad, and life was just getting worse and worse. And I still would keep going, and I kept going and going, and eventually life came crumbling down. And that was the point where I decided, or it was people helped me decide that rehab is what I needed. I went to rehab and I got sober 30 days, 48 days, I think, actually, but whatever. But I got out of there. I started drinking again. And this time, full blown, all the way. It was just drinking 24 hours a day. And eventually I quit. Had a big medical problem when I quit. And then I was able to get sober. And I'm still sober today. And the title of our webinar today is, when this happens, you should stop drinking. Now, at what point in that whole story, decades of drinking, what happened? At what point should have I stopped drinking? Maybe when the consequences started to become really bad? Well, how do you know when that point is? Well, that's what we're going to talk about a little bit more on our webinar today. And for me, yeah, I probably should have stopped drinking a long time ago. Maybe even way back in high school when I started to get those first consequences. I don't know. This is the hard part for us alcoholics to really try to figure out is when we should stop drinking. And on top of trying to figure that out, our mind has been hijacked by alcohol. So it's affecting our decisions. When we're drinking, alcohol is affecting our decisions and our priorities in life. And that's a difficult thing to get through. It's a difficult thing to sift through. So, how you doing, Marcus? Good morning.
Doing pretty good. Yeah, as you were going through that story, I was really thinking about what is it like and when should someone stop drinking? Is it when they get the first hangover? Is it when, they start to feel like they need alcohol? Is it when the anxiety kicks in? Is it the first time that alcohol feels good and solves the problems? When is the time that we should quit? Now, this is a difficult question to answer because it's different for everyone, right? I've seen people where, there's other alcoholics that are like, they're not a real alcoholic. They haven't gone through what I went through, but for them, they were an alcoholic. And we have to understand what point it changes our reality and it changes our life to where it could be the point of no return. Now, with Terry and I, we got past the point of no return. There were plenty of warning signs. There was plenty of things we could have looked at. And unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of education around it. I remember going to therapists and doctors and things like that said, hey, you're not an alcoholic. I was like, oh, thank you. That means I can go drink after this here meeting. And so I started to look at this and understand what was going on and understand, okay, when does alcohol take over and the person loses the choice, right? When does this really become an issue? Because I was the guy who today, if you met me, I'm a germaphobe. I got, all these other little idiosyncrasies and all these things. And I was the kind of guy where when alcohol took over, it didn't matter. Like, I'm the kind of person who I got to have slacks or long pants to go out somewhere. I don't go in something, sweats or whatever. I don't do that. It's just something I don't do. But when I was drinking, I'd go with sweats and one shoe and a half a sock on to get drinks. Or the germaphobe would go and go through the rubbish bins to find enough of the little bottles to pour myself a drink. And I was the kind of person who wouldn't go near the rubbish bins before. And so we look at this and we start to understand what is it that is actually going on. And have we gotten too far gone? And what I would like to submit to you is when you think or wonder if you're too far gone, you're probably getting close or already there, right? It wasn't until the depths of my alcoholism that I admitted I was an alcoholic and understood what that meant and what it was like. And there's a lot of stigma around alcoholism. Oh, you need to quit when this happens. You need to quit when this happens. I remember people used to tell me, when you come home and you say, I need a drink, that's you saying you need it, which means you're an alcoholic. Well, maybe, maybe not. Like I say, my spaghetti sauce needs salt. Am I a saltaholic? No, it just needs salt. It doesn't taste good. So we have to understand the differences between these things, and we need to understand in our mind at what point has alcohol become our everything? And has it become your everything? Are you the kind of person where if you're going to be somewhere, let's say you got to go to jury duty, and you shouldn't go there drunk, although I got a story about that for another day, but most people probably wouldn't go to jury duty drunk. And, are you the type of person that's like, oh, crap, I got jury duty because, I can't drink. Or I have to go to this church event and I can't drink. Or I have to go this other place where I can't drink. Or even I have surgery tomorrow, I can't drink. If you have something like surgery on the table and you're worried about not being able to drink, you might want to look at your priorities, because what alcohol does is it rearranges your life priorities. And while you might have been an upstanding family marriage person, now you're putting alcohol first or your drug first. Where you might have been a job person or all about your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever it is, or all about religion or whatever it is. Pick your pleasure, right? Whatever you were all about is starting to get changed, and now all you're starting to think about is alcohol. And this is very subtle because it happens over time. It's not like one day you wake up and you're starting to think about alcohol all the time. No, it starts with one drink, you start to enjoy it, and then you're like, hey, I drink at 5 o'clock, big deal. And then the next day you start to think about it a little more and a little bit more and a little bit more, and then you get in the endless cycle of drinking, hangover, drinking to get over the hangover, more drinking, more this, more that, more this, more that. And we have to look at it and understand exactly what's going on. Or for me, one of the telltale signs is if my family wanted to go out to dinner, we'd have to go places where I knew they had a good bar. We had to. Or if we were going to go to a play or a concert, I had to have drinks. Or if we were going to go to families' houses, I would plan it based on, is there enough for me to have? Is there enough left in the fridge for me to have? And my entire day was consumed with alcohol. And what I would submit to you is that if you're thinking about alcohol more than you think about sandwiches, there might be a problem. There might be something going on. And I think that's very important to look at and very important to understand, because as Victor says, this is a big merry-go-round. It's a big cycle of bullshit that never ends until we understand what's going on. Understanding is the first key. A lot of people say, oh, it's all about admitting to your innermost self you're an alcoholic. Okay, yeah, that is part of it, but you're never going to admit it until you understand and get past the stigma of what an alcoholic is. Is it some weakling who can't hold their liquor? Is it some drunk, homeless person in the sewer? What is it? Well, an alcoholic is someone who can't stop drinking alcohol. Plain and simple. You try to quit, you can't. That's pretty much the definition. And you continue to drink even though there's bad things happening in your life. Most people, if you went to a normal person on the road who enjoys cocktails on Saturdays with his favorite band at the local Eaton guitar, or whatever you call it, right? He's over there, and the doctor says, hey, you got to go in for some, foot procedure or whatever, right? And he says, you can't drink for 24 hours. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a rip. Me and Terry, we gave a rip. We're like, maybe I'll just let my foot go. I'll just not have a foot as long as I can drink. And that's an extreme example, but it did get to the point where we would start to sacrifice a lot of things for alcohol. And I think that was a good indicator that, hey, this has happened. I've become an alcoholic.
Yes.
Now I shouldn't drink anymore.
I'm sorry, I lose your audio like half of it, Marcus. I think
Okay.
everybody else can hear it on YouTube fine.
Is audio good? Type audio if my audio's good.
You
If it's
must have just
cutting out,
asked
let
me
me
a
know.
question because you stopped talking.
All right, if you guys are getting it, type audio.
I'm so sorry, folks. I can only hear about half of what Marcus is saying. The half I hear is pretty darn good stuff. And
I wonder if it's the Skype.
important, one very important point that he was making was getting to know why we become alcoholics. Maybe not necessarily what exactly caused it, but what's going on inside our heads, and the fact that alcohol is a drug and it takes us over, and we have become addicted to it. It has changed our personality. It's changed our priorities in life, and that's the main thing that I really had to focus on, was that it really did change my priorities in life, and that my life revolved around it. I mean, it was, for me, it was all about whether I could get it and how I was going to get it, how I was going to have enough for the next day, and how I was going to be able to hide it, and so people wouldn't call me out on it, and how I was going to be able to keep drinking and not have somebody tell me I had to quit, and how I could stay out of trouble with it. And though it just became the priority of my life, everything else became secondary. And the further and further I went into my alcoholism, the deeper that those things became, and the more powerful alcohol became. And that's where the priorities started to go with me, and that's really kind of the point at where I really needed to stop drinking. And that was before a lot of those consequences happened, but it was really hard to figure out when that point was. But I definitely knew it by the time I was admitting to myself that I really needed to quit. I had needed to quit for quite a while, and that's where most of us get. And we can all quit before that. It can happen, and many people do, and it can be done. And the first step is obviously go to a doctor. And it's a hard thing to do. It was a hard thing for me to do. I didn't want to do it, and because I knew that would mean I had to actually do something about my drinking. That was the biggest thing, is that I was comfortable. I was good, and when I finally had to go to the doctor, I did, and then I started to do what I needed to do. And as I said before, it really wasn't a straight line to sobriety. I had a bump in the road there, and some people have many bumps in the road, but the important thing was, for me, is that I kept trying, and eventually I was able to get sober and stay sober up until today. I still have to pay attention to it though. And for those of you that have tried many, many times and you're on that roller coaster, keep trying and change change what you've been doing each time you got sober. And I don't mean by change exactly what you did, but up it, do more. That's really important to remember is if what you did didn't work, you need to step it up. And that's what I had to do. I had to step it up. I had to make sobriety my top priority, and that was what allowed me to get over that hump. Sobriety had to become my top priority. It still is. It's my top priority. I still do something for my sobriety every single day, and that's really important for me. And I'm able to stay sober. I don't know what would make me start drinking again. I still don't. I have an idea, and I have things that I shouldn't do every day, um, and like going to big old drinking parties. I kind of stay away from those. Or if I am going to go to a party where alcohol is, I'm going to go and show up pretty much on time. I'm going to leave early. I have a game plan with everything I do. That way, when some of those things happen that I'm not expecting that might put me in a dangerous situation for drinking, at least I've taken care of all those other things so I can recognize these danger zones and get out of the situation quickly. And so that's what seems to help for me a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is about really understanding what being sober is, because a lot of us have this stigma of what life is going to be like when we don't drink. And I got to tell you, it's completely the opposite of what I thought it was going to be like. I thought sober life was going to suck. I was going to be the loser in the corner that no one would hang out with because I couldn't drink. I thought no one would want to see me or talk to me, or I wouldn't be able to do pretty much anything. And I thought my life was going to be boring and terrible without alcohol. And I actually found out, as Jerry Springer says, that was a lie, right? And you look at it and it's like, okay, well, all I've been doing was living up to this lie that I thought was real. And it wasn't. Sobriety could be fun. It could be exciting. It could be something good. It doesn't have to be, oh, I can't drink. Because actually, what started out as I can't drink anymore turned into I don't want to drink anymore. I can enjoy a concert and stay till the end and remember the whole thing, right? When I drank, I'd have to go to the bathroom 16 times. I'd have to, not remember what was going on. I'd be drunk by the time the good band that I paid to see came on in the first place. And it just was not a good situation. And I was locked in it. Now, is that to say that there are not millions of people on the planet that enjoy alcohol? Absolutely they do. And that's okay. And that's their thing. Me, I'm an alcoholic. I know what it does to me. And therefore I choose to opt out and live a different life based on sobriety and based on understanding, hey, I want to have my mental capacity. I don't want to fall back into that cycle. And that's what relapse is you're in a constant cycle of not getting the different tools to handle the situations that are coming up. It's almost like the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Right? You're going out there and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to my car and I'm going to try to start my car with my shoe. You put your shoe in the key thing and you're like, why is my car not starting? This is stupid. All right, now most people would look at that and be like, hey, I got it. A shoe doesn't start the car. All right, we'll use a key. There we go, right? Marcus, you're a genius, right? And we use a key. Now, alcoholics are the kind of people who keep using the shoe even though it doesn't work. You're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I used alcohol. It helped me one time, but now it's not working. And I've proven to myself over and over and over again that it doesn't work, yet I'm going to keep trying it, which is the definition of insanity, but also because here's the big key. I'm talking a lot about keys and shoes today. The key is that you don't know that there's better options out there. That's your best option. Hey, someone got mad at me. I don't know how to deal with these thoughts. I'm going to go drink. Hey, had a bad day. Don't know what to do. I'm going to go drink. Hey, I'm bored. I don't know what to do. I'm going to go drink. And what happens is we start to have these options just run out because we think alcohol is the best option for everything, when in actuality it's not. I used to think here on my regular career that I do for work, it's very technical, and we have servers and things like that. And I remember when there was an issue with our server, I would go to the liquor store, I'd get some boxes of beer, I'd get some liquor, I'd load up, and I'd go to my office with all my booze, and I'd stay up all night and work on servers. And that's what I'd do. I was like, I'm going to work. I got my suitcase, I got my booze, I'm going to work. And I didn't have a better option because it was really stressful. But what I actually realized is without liquor, I could solve the problem in like 10 minutes. Go in, you figure out what's wrong with the server, you go home, you go to bed. Pretty simple. Now, I didn't know that that existed. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know there were easy ways to do business paperwork. I didn't know there were easy ways to solve problems because everything was a big mountain, huge mountain. Got to have alcohol. But then I learned life's not really like that. Embrace the mundane. Embrace the nothing. Embrace the things that you used to run from. Because what are you running to? Is alcohol really all that much more exciting? Is it really helping you get those servers fixed? Is it really helping you live life to its fullest? Or is it hindering you? And there's all this stigma about being an alcoholic. Oh, you're going to have to admit alcohol. You're going to have to wear a hat. Like, I thought we were going to have A's on our head to just magically appear, and everyone goes, look at the alcoholic. Look at that guy over there. There was no A. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a rip. But it could be the best thing that ever happens in your life because you understand, hey, I'm human. I'm susceptible to chemicals. You know those crazy thoughts someone was talking about, OCD thoughts? It's chemical impulses in the brain. That's all it is. Once you realize that, you can laugh and be like, yeah, all right, I got those weird thoughts. Whatever. They pass. Like panic attacks. You've made it through every panic attack you've ever had. Congratulations. Now that you know that, you can be like, I'll make it through this one too. I'm going to be all right. Right? And you start to understand it, and you start to realize that back in the old days, before you started even drinking alcohol, you lived an okay life without alcohol. You made it through everything without alcohol. It wasn't even on your mind. So you know how to live without alcohol. You just need to relearn that and start to get the new tools and understand exactly what's going on. So audio is still cutting out?
I'm having some big technical issues. I'm sorry, Marcus.
No problem.
But, I'm going to go to comments.
There you go.
I think that'd be the easiest thing to do here. You know, Jeanette said earlier, after you know you're unable to stop, to no matter how bad it destroys everything you are in love, unfortunately, that's when you know it's time to stop, when it's almost too late. And you know that there is a lot of truth to that, but at the same time, you know, I knew I never thought I was unable to stop. Even when I was walking to the liquor store, because I didn't have a driver's license anymore, and walking to the liquor store, I'd still say to myself, this will be the last bottle, or I'm just going to drink a little bit. That was that insanity that this alcohol produces, or at least it produced in me. I thought I could stop. I thought I could stop any time, and I kept on drinking. But eventually it clicked. But it certainly didn't for quite a while. You know, that was a big thing.
I think the audio might be fixed.
It sounds like it is. Yes.
Okay, it was a little Skype setting.
Can
Gotta
you
love it.
repeat everything you said for the past half an hour? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I basically said I'm an alcoholic and I don't drink.
Perfect. This was day 43. Awesome. So if you're trying to get to day 50, you can do it, man. That would be awesome. I noticed, and you said I noticed that I fantasize all day about getting to day 50 and drinking again, but I don't know how to stop these thoughts. We'll keep going with what you're doing, and hey, you made it 43 days, one day at a time. You know, just keeping that mindset of I can drink. I mean, even if it's I can drink tomorrow. Right now, you have I can drink after day 50. When you hit to day 50. Then you hit day 51, sit there and say, okay, I can drink tomorrow. When you're at day 51, I can drink tomorrow. And just keep going, man. It's that simple and that complicated at the same time. You can do it, man.
Absolutely. And also remember, thoughts don't go to the bar. I've never gone to a bar and seen a bunch of thoughts sitting there ordering drinks. I
Yeah.
see a bunch of people ordering drinks. So your thoughts can do whatever you want. There's this weird thing that says, there's certain thoughts that we have to worry about and certain thoughts we don't. Like, you could think about a big bunny clown jumping down the road. That doesn't bother you. Why does other ones bother you? All they are is chemical impulses in the brain. And the minute we stop fighting our thoughts and just let them be, is the minute we get freedom. Right? We just stop. We say, hey, you know what? This doesn't matter. This is going to be okay. Like, I have 60,000 to 100,000 thoughts a day. I could probably tell you about 5 I had yesterday, right? So there's another 80,000 that I'm not accounting for. So why is it that we get hung up on certain thoughts? Like, all of a sudden we say, I'm an alcoholic. You start noticing all the thoughts about alcohol and drinking. I remember when I was a kid, I got really religious when I was 17. And I went to church and gave my life to the church, apparently, is what you do. For some people, not knocking religion. But this church, it was, it's kind of how it was. And I remember I was walking to school one day, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. I think about God all the time now. I didn't used to think about him at all. I used to think about all this other stuff. Now I'm thinking about this all the time. And is it because, like, there was some miraculous thing that happened in my brain? Or was it just that I noticed more of what I was putting my focus on? The mind is like a lens, and you get what you focus on. Right now you're focusing on sobriety, so you can't help but see sobriety and alcohol thoughts everywhere, and it seems like all you're doing is thinking about alcohol. Same thing when you go to meetings. I know people that go to 3 to 5 meetings a day. Obviously you're going to think of alcohol all the time because, that's what they're talking about. So I think it's time to understand the purpose of thoughts and to understand that your thoughts are not the master. The mind is an excellent slave, but a terrible master. Right? If you let the mind run the show, it's just going to go everywhere. Right? You have to look at it and you have to understand, these don't matter. This will pass. It's going to be okay. Right? We get through it.
Yes, and your audio is much better. Yeah, Victor kind of said right afterwards, I have lots of hobbies I love, just can't engage. And that's big for me as well. Yeah, because I think you said earlier that, it looks like I've been on my bike. It looks like I've got some sun. And yeah, I have. That's one of my hobbies, and that takes up some time. And, the other thing I do every single day is I walk my dog for at least an hour. And, things like that. And maybe some of you aren't able to get out and get the physical exercise, but you could definitely get yourself engaged in things that you enjoy doing, or things that you used to enjoy doing before alcohol started to dominate your life. And you can pick up those things again, or try something new. That's another thing. I have the house that I'm living in, trying to fix it up. I do some of those things. I do lots of new things. Some of these projects that a contractor would take 5 hours to do, it takes me 2 weeks. But hey, learning, and it's actually pretty exciting when I get something like that done. And also I 4th of July I'll be cooking for a sober barbecue. It's doing things like that, keeping myself engaged and staying busy. And that will help a lot, especially when you hit day 51 and you think you can, you feel like you're free to drink. Do something else. Let's see what else. If any of you guys have anything to say, let us know what's going on with you.
Buzzworthy says, I've wondered if as many meetings as I attend are necessary. What you give your attention to is what you're going to think about. Well, I mean, if you're not drinking, if it's helping you stay sober, I would say that's a good thing. I think one of the things that nobody mentions about alcoholism and meetings is alcoholics tend to isolate and they tend to be alone. And what meetings provide is sometimes a social outlet, and oftentimes that is what helps people get sober as well, because they have that social outlet. Whether you're talking about alcohol or, how to build floors, doesn't matter. It's the social aspect that you could be missing in that aspect. And I would say if it's working, don't poke the bear, right? If it's working, let it work. If you find that, hey, I go to a meeting and I go to the bar after, then maybe evaluate it and see if meetings are the best thing for you. But really understand exactly what's going on and how that works.
Absolutely. And there are different ways to, different programs for sobriety. And I think that the most important thing with whatever you choose to do is staying as open-minded as you can. And more importantly, not trying to close things out. So stay out of that closed-mindedness, like AA doesn't work, or this doesn't work, or that doesn't work. Try it all. If it doesn't work for you, that's okay. Try something different. That doesn't mean it's not going to work for somebody else. My brother's been sober for 32 years, I don't know, somewhere around there, and he's not an AA guy, and he's happy, seems happy, as far as I see. And he's doing fine. He's involved in other things, and so whatever is going to work for you is going to work for you.
Absolutely.
Stay open-minded.
All right.
Ben's recommending one of your favorite books there, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Definitely a great book.
Victor says, most times it's hard to be around people. I don't know why. Well, it could be that maybe you're an introvert and you need to rest after you're around people, which is completely fine. Lots of people are like that. That could be it. Or maybe you are around drinking people and you wonder why you don't drink, right? Could be that. But I would just look at it as, okay, let's figure out what we're going to do instead. When you drink, it's really hard to be around people, or maybe you just haven't found your crowd. There's like this weird thing where people are like, oh, I can't find people that like me. I can't find this person or that. It's like there's people literally everywhere. They're crawling all over the place. There's someone out there that you can relate to and learn and grow with.
Yeah, I'm a bit of an introvert myself, absolutely. And, when lockdown started, I was like, okay, great. Now I don't have to come up with excuses as to not to go see people. It was easy for me. But at the same time, I do force myself to get out there here and there, and I go to meetings and then some events here and there, but I'm definitely not a social butterfly. In my previous marriage, my previous wife, we were the last people to leave the parties, and oh man, it drove me crazy. But it's okay. The way I look at it, that's just kind of who I am, and it's good to get out of the comfort zone a little bit. Mm-hmm. But why force myself to go out there and try to be an extrovert when I'm not? It's okay. Why put the stress on myself? It's all right. I enjoy my home, and I enjoy going on the solo hikes or things like that. It's enjoyable. So, don't worry about it.
David says, I'm an egomaniac and want to control the world. Yeah, I think we all are, and especially when we're drinking, all we do is think about ourselves. And I think that's why the Serenity Prayer is so good, because it's, let me accept the things I can't change. What can't I change? I can't control the world. I can't even control what Terry does. I can't even control the audio on Skype so Terry can hear me. So I can't really do much of anything. And when I understand that, it's not about me forcing the world to be the way I want. It's about getting involved in the dance that's going on. There's a big dance going on. There's all this stuff happening. There's bad happening, good happening. What is it that you want to be a part of? What is it that you want to do? And how is it that you want to live your life? Is it about, I need that promotion, and if I don't get it, I'm going to throw a fit? It's kind of like Anthony DeMello. If you haven't listened to him, he's got some great talks. And he says something about, people don't really want to get better. They don't really want to change. They don't really want this enlightenment moment that they think they want. All they really want is for you to mend their broken toys. Give me back my wife. Give me back my house. Give me back my car. Give me back my money. Give me back my job. And they just want everything to be the way they want, but they're disguising it as this other stuff. And when we understand that that's how we're wired, Like, we're wired just to have what we want for our comfort and for what we think is going to make us happy. But when we understand that none of that external stuff can change what's going on in here and here in terms of happiness, then we realize that we've been conned, much like we've been conned by alcohol. We've been conned into thinking that alcohol is our stress relief. Alcohol is the cure for anxiety. Alcohol is going to help with this. And alcohol, I don't think it's the cure for anything. I don't think that's ever, like, I've never gone to the doctor and he's like, take 4/5 of alcohol and call me in the morning. And probably be like, call me in a couple weeks after rehab, you drunk. But we have to look at this and understand that we've been sold a lie. And when we wake up and we realize, okay, I fell for it, and I did a good job of acting like who I thought I needed to be who I wanted to be in the world, which really wasn't what I wanted anyway, because it was all based on this thing that I was told, then we realize we're free to be how we want. We're free to flip the script and look at everything. Why did I marry that person? Why did I do this? Why did I understand things this way? Why did I fall into this job? Why did I believe this certain religion thing? And what's the actual truth behind it? And even if I find the truth, it might not be the truth. It might just be my subjective way of thinking. And the whole thing is about understanding that we can be flawed, that we don't know what we don't know. We don't even know it. I didn't know that I didn't know that there were certain things that made me an alcoholic and certain things that would make me quit. I didn't know, but I thought I knew everything. Apparently I didn't. And when we understand that, we can be open to new things.
Yeah, alcohol, the great lie. You know, there's the majority of the people in the world. They can drink with impunity. No damage done, no harm, no foul. They're okay with that. But for us alcoholics, that's not the case. Not at all. Not for me. I can't. Even that one glass of wine. You ever see those the news reports and they tell you, yeah, one glass of wine every day is good for you. You know, this doctor says, man, I see that. I'm like, yeah, okay, how about it? Good. I think I'll do 5. It'll be even better for me. You know, I used to. That's the way my mind would go. And you know, they of course say just one. You know, everything in moderation. And I challenge that completely. I think there are 0 benefits to alcohol. I don't. If any of you can come up with some, let me know.
Well, it's probably the antioxidants in what used to be grapes.
Right. Right.
You
I'm
know?
sure that's what they're talking about. But as far as the alcohol is concerned, there's no benefits. It affects every cell in our body, and it damages. Now, if you do it in moderation, the body recovers fine. You know, no problem. But there's no benefits to that. And, you know, taking that just a little step further, it's the same with the material things in life. Yeah, I'm more comfortable in what you were talking about. Yeah, I want things to just be comfortable, so I can sit around and do nothing. What's going to happen if I do that? I'm just going to sit there and I'm going to gain weight. My mind's not going to be engaged at all. I'm just going to watch TV maybe or something like that. It's not going to be good for me. It's good to challenge myself every day and try to help other people trying to get sober, trying to help people stay sober. That's one of the things that I try to do every day. That helps me, getting myself into maybe slightly uncomfortable situations where like catering, my job. You know, catering it's tough. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the place where you're going to cater is going to be like, what equipment they're going to have. So you know, there's different challenges in life. We all have many of them, and I think that's what keeps us alive and keeps us awake, and that helps a lot. And you know, when I was drinking, I'd just push all that away and sit in the chair and watch bad TV. And I don't want to get there again, that's for sure. So,
Let's see. Jeanette, I write to myself every day, good to read months later and help understand how far I've come along and how I'm doing. It's a great idea.
Yep.
DMC says, socializing is my biggest problem. That's why I'm drunk now in lockdown. It's very hard to try to meet people. It's very isolating. Well, you can meet people online, or you can, go for a walking group, socially distanced walking group. There's all kinds of things you can do. I know a lot of people let other things control what they do, but there are ways that you can make stuff happen. It's just a matter of getting out there and being able to, accept a little bit less than ideal. Like, was the whole lockdown stuff ideal? No. But did we accept less than ideal? Yeah, we made it work. Terry and I both made it through the lockdown stuff sober. Lots of you guys made it through the lockdown stuff sober. So it can be done. It's just a matter of what are you going to do instead. I can meet people online, safely, of course. Don't go meeting weird people. So you got to look at it and understand, okay, what else can I do?
Yeah. Just said I'm hoping to get back with my son's mom. We found out this morning she's been dating a guy. I'm really on the verge of a drink right now, and for me, and I've seen a lot of people go to that drink, and it never came out better. I've never seen it go better for an alcoholic to take that drink because of somebody else. I have to stay sober for me, not for anybody else. Yes, that is a definite plus, that I'm staying sober for other people. People like me more. It's amazing, but staying sober for myself is the most important thing. If I didn't care about my sobriety, I'd be drinking right now, and I do. And I try not to let other people dictate whether I'm going to drink or not, or where my cravings are going to go. It's a hard thing to do, and it's hard to deal with that. I had a similar situation years ago, and I was able to get through it.
And I think the key to getting through it is accepting what is. Yep. Accepting this is what is. Whatever it is, that's what she chose for her life. And, I have to make it okay, because obviously you probably still want to see your kid. So focus on what you can focus on. The worst thing is trying to make things the way we want. I want to make that person like me, and I want to go out with them. I want to rekindle this stuff. I want to do this. I want to make my boss a nice guy. And we try to make all of our life conform to what we want. When it's like, when you're born in this world, you're alone. You can't talk. You can't eat. You can't do anything on your own. And all of a sudden, we get a voice and we start to think we're the captain of the ship and everything needs to bow to what we want, rather than saying, hey, everyone else that I come in contact with is their own person with their own needs, their own desires, and their own ideas of what makes them happy. Now, does that mean we let everyone treat us like crap? No. What it means is we accept it as what is. That is someone I was with, I'd like to be with now. Now they're doing their thing. What am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to drink, because that's certainly, the answer is not at the bottom of a bottle. I've checked a lot of bottoms of a lot of bottles, and I never found one damn answer to my life question. Nothing, right? It was just, I needed to get another bottle. And I checked that one, and I'd keep checking, and pretty soon I was in a mental hospital. Still checking. The answer's got to be there somewhere. But the fact of the matter is we need to accept what is. That's the key. Accept. I'm an alcoholic. Okay, now what? Accept. This happened in my relationship. Now what? Accept. I got fired at my job. Now what? Accept. We got locked down. I'm isolated. Now what? What am I going to do? Not what am I going to think about it. Not what am I going to feel. What am I going to do? Because in sobriety, if you bring your ass, your brain's going to follow. Works like a charm. Like, one of the things that I learned for anxiety is you can't be anxious while doing, like, serious physical exercise. Like, Terry goes and rides bikes up mountains that are straight up at like 100 miles an hour. I'll exaggerate a little bit, right? And you can't be anxious. Like, if you're huffing and puffing on the bike and going up the hill, there's no room for anxiety in your body. You can't do it, right? And so when we learn that our life is like this, and we learn that these certain things are the way they are, and we accept them, we learn that all we are is like evolved chemical things. And we succumb to chemicals, and our body reacts certain ways. And we realize, okay, now what? Now what am I going to do? Well, if I get anxious, maybe I'll go ride up a straight mountain like Terry and I won't be anxious anymore. Or if I'm isolated, maybe I'll reach out and talk to someone on the phone or have a group call. I think Skype allows you to talk to more than one person at a time. You can even get a Zoom account, right? Talk to a bunch of people. And you start to understand, hey, I accept things the way they are and I roll with it. And that really helps me.
Yes, acceptance is a huge thing. You know, one other thing that I do for acceptance and to lower the anxiety levels is, you know, I have goals, I have plans, and things that I want to happen. But at the same time, you know, I don't totally rely on those results. If you understand what I'm saying. So if I put all my thoughts into I have to have these results, you know, that's going to really stress me out because maybe it's not going to happen. No matter what I do, no matter how hard I work at it, no matter how stressed I get, and stress definitely isn't going to let me go in the right direction as easily. So, not putting all my eggs into that finishing basket. You know, be open to what direction it might take me. It may take me in a different direction, and that's really helpful for anxiety. Another thing that helps a lot is thinking about what's happened in the past, as far as, you know, maybe I'm worried about finances in a few months or something like that. Well, what's happened in the past? Well, I've been okay. I've made it every single time. I'm still here. I'm okay. So, you know, that's looking back at that gives me a different perspective as well, and that helps me with that anxiety a lot. So those are some of the things. David says facing my fears. It's big for my sobriety, and that's true. It's hard to face those fears. It's difficult. One of the fears for me would be, you know, at least it was when I first got sober, talking to people about this serious stuff. Man, I don't want to talk to anybody about my serious stuff. I was totally afraid of that. Or speaking in front of a group of people. Oh man, no way. But you know, I still get nervous doing that. But you know, I do it. I try, and that makes it a lot easier each time I do it.
Yeah. Stephanie's talking about counting the days of sobriety. Some people like to count, some people don't. It's kind of up to them. Maybe those of us that like to count watch too much Sesame Street with the count. Remember that guy? He was like, one. I think that dude had to be drunk. I don't know the count. He's a little off. Although he always counted right, so maybe he was okay. Although I don't know. I could probably count to 10 back when I was drinking too. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like if that works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, great. What I know I'm going to do is I'm going to stay sober today. I don't know what's going to happen the rest of my life. I have no idea. But today, I'm going to stay sober.
I think I can count up to 39 when I was drinking, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Timberwolf, I forgot to say hello to you. I saw that you got 1 year sober. Congratulations. That's great. 1 year is a big milestone, but one day is a big milestone, definitely. I'll do Grim Reaper. The only thing that matters is one thing, and that is whatever makes you happy and gives you fulfillment. Alcohol does not. It just takes and gives nothing in return that's useful. Yep, and that's what I just kind of mentioned earlier, and that's true. Megan says, yeah, I'm a part English, so drinking was heavy in my family. Yeah, no, I think I'm part Italian, I'm part English, I'm part Austrian. I think I could say that for all of those nationalities. And I'm American too, so we drink Coors. No, I'm never a Coors drinker. But really, I just think drinking is it's socially acceptable, and then they advertise to us that you know everything's going to be great. And those advertisements in kind of in the background, they play to our fears. Like if I don't go out and go drinking, you know, I'm not going to be part of the crowd. I'm afraid of that, or people are going to look down on me, or I'm not going to have fun. And that's kind of playing to our fears, and we just kind of have to be aware of that. And it's okay. I have plenty of good times not drinking. In fact, I have a lot better times. I I think earlier someone was mentioning social situations are difficult for you unless you're drinking, and I thought that as well. And I found that being sober in social situations, I'm much quicker, much better socially. Yeah, I get a little bit of the nerves to begin with, especially, coming up to somebody I've never met before and talking to them. But, you just start off, hey, how you doing? I'm Terry. Oh, yeah, what do you do for a living? Oh, what brings you here? You get these basic questions that you learn to say, and it helps break the ice in those social things. And I'm able to do much better socially now. It's sobriety is amazing. If you just
Absolutely.
let it happen, let it do its thing.
And I think also touching on that thing about the social and commercial pressure to drink. Next time you think about that and you feel the pressure, think about diamond rings, because one of the biggest pressures on a young man when they go to get married is buying a diamond ring, which is a completely fabricated, socialized pressure. Like in old days, diamond rings weren't even thought of. And actually, realistically, if you study the history of diamonds, it is one of the most useless gems that's everywhere. They aren't worth anything except what people agree they're worth, which it's like, this is really rare, as they got a big bag of them behind you. And it's a socialized pressure, which is very interesting. And the socialized pressure is, hey, if your girl doesn't have a ring they could brag about to people, then you're a loser of a man. Does it actually mean that? Like, does it really mean that? Like, okay, some of our service people in the military are the hardest working good people around. Does that mean that they're not good people if they don't get a fancy ring? Right? And you have to look at these things and start to understand exactly what's going on, and understand that, yeah, we've been hoodwinked by some really good marketers that said we need to drink, or we need to buy a ring, or this house or this car is what makes it seem like you've arrived. And, they're laughing all the way to the bank, and we get to go to therapy, and, thanks for that. Or we could just wake up and say, it was all a big dream. It's all a big lie. That's what people thought, which is interesting. Ben says, yeah, the letter and land people were drunk too. Grover, Cookie Monster, Total Addict. It might be. I mean, maybe we're onto something there. I don't know. Someone else said you need to 12-step the count. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, you got to just understand exactly what's going on and how things work.
Yeah. Victor, you said I can go a week or two without drinking, then I get the urge to drink and end up relapsing. Yes, that's very common. I see it many times. And you just got to keep on trying, man. It's
Absolutely.
tough.
There's another one I wanted to take here. Let's see if I can find it. David says, if only these voices in my head would quit, I would have peace with sobriety. Well, the key to that is whoever said you had to listen to the voices in your head. We all have talking. That's what it is. As Alan Watts said, endless chatter in the skull, mindless thoughts, right? Who said we had to listen to all of them? No one did. I can let them talk, and I can do what I need to do. And the funny thing is, when you stop paying attention to them and you stop trying to get rid of them, they go away. I was reading a book, and they said what you resist persists, but what you just accept and let it be there tends to go away. Right? I used to have all these things. I resisted being an alcoholic. Now I'm not an alcoholic because I don't drink anymore. I choose not to. I say, hey, there we go. Just not going to drink. And that problem went away. Now, did it take a while? Sure. Was there struggle? Sure. But it eventually went away. If I was still fighting it, if I was still saying, no, I'm not an alcoholic, yes, I can drink like normal people, I'd still be drunk. I probably wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, definitely. If I had to resist alcohol all the time, if I was fighting this all the time,
Mm-hmm.
I would have failed. I would be drinking. For me, it's something I don't do. It's okay for me. Let's see. Well, about the counting days. Well, Stephanie says counting places too much pressure on you from now to dead. I don't feel like counting. Just one big count from now to dead. I'm sober, and that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I work with a lot of people that don't count the days. I don't count the days. count the years. I'm gonna say, "Woo, happy birthday" to myself when I hit my next year anniversary. But in early sobriety, it was a tool, and I did count the days. It was just one more piece of accountability. I did everything I possibly could to make myself accountable, and I thought it was a pretty good tool right there because, I had whatever, let's say I had 90 days. It's like, I don't want to go back to day zero. That's not what kept me sober at all. But it was one of those little things that was in my head that was kind of pushing me in the right direction. So that's just kind of my take on it. But yeah, I do know lots of people that don't like to count the days. That's fine. Whatever works, absolutely. As Timberwolf says, this is for life management every day. Get to that meeting, remain grateful and humble. And yeah, gratitude is huge.
Awesome. I think we are about out of time for today. Let's see. Anything else standing out to you in the comments that we should address?
Carrie's sound is very low. Sorry. Too late now. Try to get this figured out.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It seemed like our audio was good for like a year and a half, and then it wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it. You want to do our Talk Sober commercial?
Oh, you're way better at it, Marcus.
You just don't want to do it. All right, guys. If you want to support what we're doing here on the channel, you could go over to talksober.com, click the big yellow button, and sign up for our sobriety course. It's a 30-day course that'll take you through all the things that'll help you get and stay sober. Again, we're not doctors or trained recovery specialists, but if you are finding our videos and our talks helpful, I think you're really going to love the course over there, the way that we have it set up for you. Also at talksober.com, we got some other resources. But if you click that big yellow button and sign up for less than $1 a day, you can help us out to reach other alcoholics and help keep this show on the airwaves. So, talksober.com, big yellow button, support the show, say thanks, and we'll see you in there.
Yeah, we'll see you there, everybody, and thank you very much for joining us today.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Go to talksober.com, get signed up, and we'll see you next week. As soon as I can find the button.